podcast called Jellison Podcast.
First ever type 1 diabetic in UFC history.
Doing fine, Nice to be with you.
Get out!
He's like, yeah. My tunnel vision and my periphery, I'm like off field.
Hey, you know how it is, though. Hey, when your team.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of the Jellison Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Mr. Vic Law. Vic, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you so much for responding and coming on. I kind of saw you and was reminded of you through your podcast, 94 and More. So talk a little bit about that for people that may not have seen it or things like that.
Yeah, man. We started the pod. I was in the bubble. That's kind of a way just to, get some things for me to do. Me and one of my good friends, Jake Finster, who's a co-owner of a brand called Bristol Studio, kind of just started, as just kind of like phone conversations back and forth, me and him just kind of shooting the shit. And then, we kind of picked it up. We got advertisements, we're getting, bigger and better guests. And, we really created a platform, right? Like at first it was just about basketball. And now we're starting to really branch out. Like the more is really starting to kick in now because now we're doing actors, athletes, musicians, it's just clothing designers. It's really whatever, kind of sparks your interest. And for these guests, it's kind of like been the theme of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. I kind of relate to that just because I started my podcast well before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, I didn't really have anything else to do. So everything kind of picked up and it soared from there. But is it nice to kind of have something to take your mind off basketball? I know you said they kind of started with basketball talk and then transitioned to something else.
Yeah, man, I think it's always good to be well-rounded, have other interests. Basketball obviously is my first love and it's something I put a lot of time and effort into. But the podcast is really like something that me and Jake are really taking pride in, man. I think it's really something that's starting to gain some momentum, and we're excited to see where it goes. I mean, other than podding, I'm a big gamer, thinking about starting to stream soon. So, it's some things that I got in the works that I'm intrigued to see where they go.
Hey, well, I'd be down for that. What was it that really made you get into the podcast game? Was it like you'd been thinking about it for a while and then the bubble was just that perfect opportunity?
Well, I listened to a decent amount of podcasts just like for fun, right? Like, in the car and, blast their music in the aux. I do that as well, but I also like listening to podcasts like as I drive, any long drive, listen to them, kind of try to relate, formulate my own thoughts. I listen to Bill Simmons podcast a lot. No Chill, Crime Junkies. So I thought it was like kind of like a cool space to just kind of like speak and jump into. Like I said before, my kind of co-host has the brand Bristol Studio, and with that platform, we could kind of like leverage that and then, kind of take off, right? Like it wasn't that we did build it from the ground up, but we had a little bit of backing, which was really cool and really, helpful. So, I mean, the podcast game, was really interesting to me. I think we both had a lot of good thoughts and energy to kind of get on, right? And, it doesn't seem like a podcast, if that makes sense. Like, we're just kind of on there having a conversation, shooting the shit, like laughing, joking, right? And by the end of it, we haven't outlined everything, but by the end of it, it just kind of flows like a conversation. So, I thought, we kind of get on FaceTime and we laugh and joke all the time. Why not actually do something with this?
Mm-hmm. When you guys first started, was it like, for me, it was like, I'm a very quiet person, like in public or whatever. I don't really talk unless someone talks to me. So it was really hard for me to get on the mic and kind of find my footing. But how long did it take you guys to kind of find that flow? And then, I mean, once you hit that, you're pretty much off and going.
Right. I was at a couple episodes, we're like trial and error, right? Like we're trying to figure out what works. We used the Ringer app at first. We're trying a couple different apps. We're trying to find recording space, like do different stuff. Because it's easy when, you're face-to-face, you kind of like record in the same studio and do whatever. But, when you're at a long distance, I'm in Chicago, he's in LA, it kind of becomes difficult. So we've been Zoom. And after the first couple episodes, I think we really found a groove and like the stuff we were going to talk about, like how we were going to flow back and forth, who's talking, me or him, like kind of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think we're both just trying to be our genuine selves and just trying to like have a conversation around. I think, we just talk, listen to whatever our guest has to say, ask our questions and kind of build off that, right? We don't have like just such a set structure, if then that. We kind of ask a question, they answer, and then we kind of roll off that and kind of see where the conversation goes.
Yeah, that's definitely a way to do it. I mean, I know, like you mentioned, you were in the bubble when you started it, and then you were most recently in Australia playing basketball. So how did you guys make that work?
Man, the time difference is plus 16 hours, I think, from like Chicago to Australia, and plus from LA to Australia. I think for Jake, it was you just add 5. So if it's, say it was 2 p.m. in LA, you add 5 hours to it and you switch the time of day. So it would be 7 a.m., I believe. Right. So if it's daytime in America, it's night in Australia. It's night in America. So you just add the plus 5 in LA and then flip the time of day. So either I would have to wake up super early, or Jake would have to stay up super late, like to kind of get the episodes in. We try to formulate a plan to get an episode out every week. So as you can imagine, there were a couple long nights or really early mornings trying to accommodate some of the guests, get the number of episodes out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even for me, like I had Deshaun Thomas on, and I had to stay up till, we finish around 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Time. So it's, you got to make sacrifices to. What was that?
I said it's a grind for sure. Yeah, like kudos. I understand the drawbacks of it, man. You're either up super late just trying to accommodate the guest, man, because the guest is always right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like you guys have it. I don't want to say easy, but you guys do have that foundation of fans and whatnot that follow you. Orlando Magic fans, Northwestern fans, people that have just followed you along the way. So you guys kind of have that built-in platform, and then it's just up to you with what you want to do. Like I know a lot of guys do gaming, like you said, do podcasts and things of that nature. Have you kind of taken any inspiration from any other current players
on like just the extra?
Yeah.
So on the Magic, a couple of my teammates, I know Terrence Ross had just created a podcast, and I was huge on gaming with a couple of my teammates. So just knowing you have that platform, like you said, you might as well leverage that in some way, right? Like you might as well try to, create some kind of platform or content where other people can enjoy it. And it's funny to say that you have this platform, right? Like getting guests, even for us, is still like just such a hassle. I even had to, cancel a rain check on you and try to like just accommodate other people. But man, some of these guys are just like, I'm not free today. Can you do it at like 1? And then Jake's got something. So I definitely understand the headache of going back and forth and trying to get all this stuff together, because some days it can be a lot, and it's a commitment, to try and get all the stuff in. But I don't know, in terms of like the other guys doing podcasts, I think during the bubble, a lot of guys started doing either video blogs or trying to document, keep the time moving, right? Because in the bubble, we spent a lot of time basketball wise, but then you were just kind of at this hotel resort thing, just kind of there for the, whatever, 2.5 months. And you just kind of had to fill up your days either in the game, golf every day, so people, tried to like mix it up and get different stuff going.
Mm-hmm. So you canceled on me for, I saw you just put out the one with Wimbush. Is that who you canceled on me for?
No, man. We did that. So we backlog. We got different stuff kind of like in the archive that we try to release. So we try to like do a podcast, right? Put it in, and then we can release whatever we want week by week.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, I had so much different stuff I had going on, man. I hope my sister builds something. I had to go pick my girlfriend up. It was just a lot, and I was just I don't when I'm back and forth in between places. So I'm happy you're able to get me in right now.
Yeah, fair enough. So I wanted to kind of go to your your basketball career. You talked about your time with the Magic in the bubble.
Right.
What was that year like, being in that bubble and just the kind of all the hectic stuff going on in your rookie season?
Right. Man, my rookie year was a grind, right? Like I started Magic in training camp, did summer league with them, ended up getting waived, won to the G League, happened to grind in the G League, and earned a two-way spot. And once I had the two-way, like I was pretty much up the Magic the rest of the time, which was really cool. Like it was like a blessing to just be able to get called up and like be around the guys and like learn and play. But the rookie season was a grind, man. Like as much as I would love to say it was fun, because it was, and it was definitely a ton of opportunity. It was just a long like grind, right? Like you're there every day trying to prove yourself, trying to show that you can be trusted, that you're ready for that moment, right? And I didn't even know like there was like a bubble roster, right? Like we had to make it, but I'm there kind of whenever the gyms open back up and the management is like, yeah, you made the roster, we want to take you to the bubble. I'm like, man, I thought I was just going. Like I think this is like a tie up here. So that was like definitely like a funny conversation. But another like blessing just having like that'll go down in history, right? Like it's something I can tell my kids and grandkids. Like I played in the bubble like during this little period of COVID that the world kind of has to endure. Like I was able to go to the bubble, kind of be in this kind of summer camp of NBA players and stars, and watch all these games and be a part of the playoffs and stuff. It was great, right? Like it was definitely a dream come true to reach that level and play amongst those guys. But the grind continues, right? Like the marathon isn't over. I'm still grinding every day trying to get back to that level.
Mm-hmm. And what about the bubble itself? Like coming into your rookie season, that's obviously not what anyone really wants. Do you think it helped you or hurt you in any way?
No, I think right? Like the bubble presented opportunities for guys that they would never have gotten without it, right? Like these different time restraints, like minutes and stuff. Like I don't know, like, and you're amongst like, I don't want to say it's like a networking event, but like you're around everybody, right? Like everyone's seeing you all the time. It's not, let's say the Raptors, like you only play them twice or whatever. Like everyone's there, like everyone's right. If whatever game you play in, everyone's watching. Like there's nothing else to do. You can scout. Like you get to meet and talk to all these high-ranking NBA officials and stuff. So it was really cool. Like logistically, like we had meetings and stuff, so you get to see like inner workings, like NBPA, the NBA, different stuff like that. So it was cool, man. I learned a lot. I really got to like experience NBA basketball and like the NBA kind of lifestyle and stuff. So it was good, man. I was really, really happy to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any like favorite kind of interactions that you had with, I mean, not only your team, but guys from other teams, or like you mentioned, officials or the administration within the NBA?
I don't have a favorite interaction, but I can tell you that what was memorable were those kind of crazy meetings, right? Like in the bubble that all the media was like speculating about, like, oh, I heard this guy did that, or heard, and it was like so funny because no media was in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd have been like, oh my God, I heard, it was all speculation. It was like all hearsay, and the meetings themselves are definitely like interesting, right? Like I'm not gonna say they're wild, but they were like different. They were you just had to be there type of thing.
Well, I mean, like, did you guys have any issues with the whole protocol and everything like that? Like guys doing something that they weren't supposed to?
No. We never had that. Like, unfortunately, we had a couple guys that get COVID, but everyone was getting COVID, right? Like America was like, if you didn't have COVID, you were like lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we never had problems with protocols. Like it seemed pretty standard. Like just don't leave the perimeter. Kind of keep your nose clean type of thing.
What was kind of the talk amongst the locker room and the other guys in the league when the whole thing with Lou Will happened?
Is that when he went to he used to go to Magic City?
Yeah.
Funny that video, like Jack Harlow posted that thing where he kind of like posted them out. I don't know. There was like not a lot of talk about anything really. It was just a lot of guys are just like, man, like the bubble is hard. We're kind of in. You're taking grown men away from their families, and their social lives, and you're kind of just saying, all right, you're basketball, 2.5 months, man. Saddle up and get ready, right? It was an experience. Man, I have to tell you, like the first like 2 weeks, it was like great. Like everyone's there, you know, you're practicing, you're playing, you know, you kind of got your own space. Like it's like, oh, the bubble's great. And then you're like a month and a half in, and you're like, man, we've been doing the same thing for like 35 days. I can't I got to figure something out to do. So it was interesting, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And I know we're kind of getting close to time here. I want to talk about obviously your college career, me being a Purdue guy and you being a Northwestern guy.
Oh, you're a Purdue guy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Taking the podcast. I'm joking. Go ahead.
So was it hard to go from like a team leader in college, a 5-year guy, to an NBA rookie, and just kind of have that culture shift of like, hey, I'm not the lead guy anymore. I need to kind of fall in place and find my role.
I think that's hard for a lot of guys, right? Like, in all levels, right? From high school to college to the pros, like you're at the bottom of the totem pole again. And for a lot of guys where you're like the man or the guy, it's sometimes hard to like take that next step and then have to take the backseat, or like you're back to learning again. Especially for a guy like me, like I wasn't 19 going into the NBA. Like I'm like a grown man going in. So I'm not, you know, this kid that like needs to like be taught how to like live by myself or like offensive plays. You know, I kind of know. I would hope, right, where like I'm not kind of just like learning, but it is an adjustment, right? Like you have to learn like how you fit in. Like you have to learn your niche, right? Because there are guys in the NBA, right? Like you have like a handful of guys that are just like God's gift, right? Like you couldn't duplicate these guys. There are like 10 guys like that, maybe 15. And then you got a lot of guys where you're kind of like trying to figure out what your role is. Like, how can you fit in with the team? Like, how do you fit into the puzzle, right? Like, you got some shooters, you got defenders, you got guys that are just like floor generals. Like, opportunity and timing is a big thing. But you also have to realize, like, what your strengths are and how you can add value to a team. A really good piece of advice I got in college was from Shaka Smart when I took a visit to VCU. And he asked me what position I wanted to be. And I said, I think a wing, you know, like 2-3, like that kind of thing. And he was just like, you're an idiot. Like there are only 2 positions in basketball. He's like, you can either be on the court or you can be on the bench. Like I'm sure he'll figure it out. And that's so true, like in every part of life. Like you can figure it out and find your success and your joy in what you do, or you can, you know, pout and try to say like, no, this is what I want, right? Because even going to the pros, there are a lot of like quote unquote scorers, right? That are like, no, my job is I just put the ball in the basket. And then you go to a team with like a star, right? And it's like, are we supposed to give you the ball over like Damian Lillard? Are you the guy? Right? And it's you got to figure out mentally like how to continue to stay confident in yourself, but also find that role where you're effective and helpful.
Yeah, I mean, no, most definitely. You look at guys, even like, I mean, I'm not trying to hate on it, but Carson Edwards came into the league as a scorer, and now he's kind of forced to find his role and do other things. So it definitely is a struggle. So going back to your time at Northwestern, how do you reflect on those 5 years and kind of the highs and lows of the team's success?
I mean, you know, the good years are great, right? And I think it's all learning lesson. Like there are gonna be ebbs and flows and everything, and you just have to like, you know, kind of like roll with the punches. But I knew going into Northwestern it was gonna be like an uphill battle to like, you know, rebrand the organization and get us back good. But I think we really did. Like I think my class like bought in and did a lot to really help lay the foundation for Northwestern, right? Like we finally broke through and made the tournament, and then we had our little hiccup. But I don't know, man. I think we showed that you can do it at Northwestern. Like it's not so crazy that, you know, you should want to win here.
Mm-hmm. Well, how special was it for you and the guys to make that history, like you said, and break the long stretch of not appearing in the NCAA tournament?
It was great. Like it was like definitely a time to be alive, man. Like Northwestern and Everson were crazy during that period. Going to Salt Lake City, like I had never seen so many Northwestern basketball fans in my life. but we did it right. Like it was like something that we kind of like bandaged together to kind of figure out, and we got it done. So, it's something like that. When people get to college, you're like, why are you in college? Right? Like two reasons. Like you're either there to be a pro, or you're there to get to the tournament. Like in the tournament, there's no other feeling like it. Like you're there. Record no longer matters. Like everyone's 0-0, and it's just like I don't know. It's amazing to be a part of.
And then I know you got to get going here. But last question is, obviously the Big Ten's always tough. Who are some of your favorite battles against, whether it's individual players, matchups, or just Northwestern and another team going head to head?
Man, I thought our battles with Michigan, it was always a close ad. Like we never played Michigan without going down to the wire or something. Like I think, and we had a podcast with Duncan Robinson, and I think we counted them. I think we were we were dead even in our time at Northwestern and his time at Michigan. Like when we played each other, it was either they won overtime, we won overtime, like a Hail Mary pass here, some kind of buzzer beater three. Like I don't know. It was always something crazy, but playing the Big Ten is definitely awesome. Like you get to see the crazy fans in the huge stadiums, but the level of play is always at an all-time high.
Was Purdue the craziest opposing arena that you played in, or did someone top it?
It was one of them. I thought Indiana was good. Purdue was really good. Maryland actually is super tough to play at, and so is Iowa.
A lot of people have told me that Maryland is kind of an insane environment. It's something I haven't really thought about.
It's crazy. It's I think it's them and Ohio State are the two biggest arenas in the Big Ten, and they get loud in there for how big that arena is.
Yes, sir, for sure. So now you got to get going, so I'm going to wrap this up. But thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck going forward. I wish you and your family all the best.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Wish you luck on this podcast, man.
Yes, sir. Stay safe.